John Milton as a poet. Milton was a poet as well as a prose writer. He is a religious poet. He got the love of religion, art, music, and literature, and even politics from his father, and the qualities of generosity and charity from his mother. His poetry is autobiographical, religious, historical, related to politics, and so other topics he has covered in his poetry. His literary work can be divided into three periods. The first phase of his works is from 1608 to 1638. This period covers his entire student life. He wrote all his early poems during this period. The important ones are To the Nightingale, on his having arrived at the age of 23, and many other poems, and Lycidas and Elegy. In second phase, Milton's political life, and he wrote about politics. This period covers Milton's political life up to the year of Restoration. During this period, Milton wrote prose work. The important works of this period are: he wrote many important works such as The Tenure of Kings and Magistrates, 1649, and many other works, many other sonnets such as On His Blindness, To the Same, On His Deceased Wife, and so many other works. In the third page, this is the period of culmination of the poet's literary talent and poetical works. The important works of this period are Paradise Lost, 12 books, wrote in 1667, and epic poetry. Paradise Regained, wrote in 1671, Samson Agonist, 1771, a poetic play. So in this way, his poetic work, his literary work covers a wide range of topics, a wide range of subjects. His two sonnets, on his having arrived at the age of 23, and On His Blindness, are in the syllabus of BA Part 1st English Literature. In the sonnet, On His Having Arrived at the Age of 23, the sonnet is an autobiographical sonnet. The poet writes about himself. He tells that he has covered the age of 23 years without any fruitful contribution to literary creation. The poet says that he has arrived so near to manhood without any great achievement. The poet achieved nothing. In this sonnet, the poet calls time the subtle thief of youth. Time is very cunning, according to the poet. It steals our life without making us aware of that. The 23 years of the poet has been stolen by the time, and the poet didn't get any signal of that, any sign of that, any symptom of that. So the poet is unhappy to know that so far as his poetic creation, his poetic achievement is not good. But the poet expresses his complete faith in God and determines to serve God, to write poetry, to do poetic work as much as he can do, as much as he can write. The poet says, late or soon, he will do the same work, the same poetic work. So, in this way, in the sonnet, the poet expresses in the octave part his feelings, and in the sestet part he repeats his determination. In the octave part he is telling us about the things which he couldn't do, but in the sestet part he determines and expresses his complete faith, expresses his complete determination to do the poetic work without any delay. In the next sonnet, on his blindness, the poet expresses his feelings after being blind. The poet says in the sonnet that how late and soon my light has spent. The poet became blind before crossing the age of 44, and he wrote his famous epic Paradise Lost, Paradise Regained thereafter, after being blind. So the poet is questioning in the octave part. In the first 8 lines, he asks God, how can active work be done by a blind man? How can a blind man, how can a blind poet compose poetry? How can a blind poet write poetic work? So the poet is complaining or even murmuring, or even the poet is not happy to know that a blind man is equally required to do the same work as a man who is not blind. So in the octave part, the poet expresses how can he perform his duties. In the sestet part, the poet repeats his determination that he will do the work that is assigned to him by God. God doesn't require active work from everyone, according to the poet. One who bears his mild yoke is equally the best servant of God. So the poet expresses his complete faith in God and determines to work under the supervision of God, under the taskmaster. Who is the taskmaster? The taskmaster is God, who has assigned us work to do. So the poet says that he will do as God has assigned to him, as God direct him, as God supervise him. He will work under the supervision of God without any complaint, without any grievances. So in both the two sonnets, the poet expresses his personal feelings. In the first one, he is not doing proper work till the age of 23 years, and in the second one he expresses his position after being blind. Thank you.